Great to have you with us, Bill Pidto, along with Wally Szczerbiak. So we talked about the high-scoring Cleveland offense in the pregame show. Pretty much decent defense through three quarters for the Knicks, but Cleveland scored 36 fourth-quarter points. They erased a 13-point third-quarter deficit, and they go on to win the game by 6.
This is a Cleveland team that's on a mission. Kenny Atkinson, the new coach that they picked up in the offseason, he has these guys playing a different brand of basketball than the Knicks are used to seeing against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Knicks have dominated the Cavs, winning 9 out of the last 12, dominated them in the playoffs. They came in here wanting to send a message that they're still a viable team and threat in the Eastern Conference. Garland and Mitchell are tough to guard for the Knicks. Knicks, a new team that's trying to figure out role allocation, who's going to take the big shots, who needs to get shots when, and the Cavaliers definitely exploited a little bit of uncertainty by the Knicks in tonight's game. Jalen Brunson, an off night, when he has an off night like this, dealing with some of the length and the shot blockers that the Cleveland Cavaliers have down low, and Mobley and company, they're going to come away with losses. The Knicks have to learn from this one. This was a tough loss.
Brunson overall 8 of 24 and 8 of 18 in the paint.
Yep.
Did the length of the Cavs bother Brunson close to the basket?
Definitely. I mean, this team has Twin Towers and Jared Allen and Mobley. And when you have shots that you normally make and you think, you know, nobody's going to contest, all of a sudden you start seeing ghosts. And Halloween's right around the corner. And those guys with their long arms, they're somewhere lurking. And sometimes that can affect you as a shooter. Towns needs to get more looks. You know, the pick and roll is something that we thought was going to be a good option, but they were doing a good job of switching that pick and roll, and when Jalen Brunson went up against those big guys, it was tough for him to get a good look at the basket and break down the defense. So this is one where the Knicks are going to have to go to the tape. They're going to have to learn from it because this Cleveland Cavalier team is 4-0 and off to a great start this season.
By the way, Cat tonight took only 8 shots. Came down to the fourth quarter, Wally. The Knicks were up by 4 after 3. But the Cavs won the fourth quarter 36-26.
It was all Darius Garland, too. You know, and the Knicks had a comfortable lead for most of the game, but when you give up the momentum, when the bench came in and Brunson went out of the game, that's when the tide kind of changed. Deuce McBride tried to keep him close. That 3 cut it to 1, but more Darius Garland threes. That 3 extends it to a 6-point lead. Then the Cavs continued to get stops. Another 3, 99-91. At that point. And you know Jalen's going to show up in the fourth quarter, and that's what he did. You know, he's a closer. He got some buckets to go down the stretch. Knicks were getting to the free throw line, but they did not have an answer for Darius Garland. He ran pick and roll, got whatever he want. He's a guy that's on a mission to send a message that, you know, he wants to get some payback against the Knicks because the Knicks have dominated Darius Garland and the Cavs and company in years previous.
So Garland with 34, Donovan Mitchell had 25, and the Cavs beat the Knicks by 6. Time now to say hello to Monica McNutt. She helped to call the game tonight on the radio, ESPN New York. Monica, great to see you. What's your takeaway after watching tonight's game?
Man, I think Wally nailed it with Darius Garland, who had a terrific second half, but not even just the offensive part. I thought in the second half, particularly second half of the third quarter into the fourth, he decided that he wasn't going to be the weak link on the defensive end anymore, and he got engaged there, forced a couple of turnovers, and the Cavs were able to have their way. But to me, one of my keys going into this ball game, besides the three-point shooting, only giving up 7 threes through the first 3 quarters was solid on the part of the Knicks, but the other thing was the points in the paint. When the Knicks had their air quotes around comfortable leads at about 6 and 7 points, but when they were leading, they were also dominating the paint. By the end of the ball game, the garbage time sort of basket by Karl-Anthony Towns at the end put them up 54-52 in terms of paint scoring. And so the Cavs were able to take advantage and make their presence felt in the paint in the second half, and I thought Darius Garland just had a great game.
You're right, Monica. I mean, this Cleveland Cavalier team, when you look at the numbers coming in, and we were saying, you know, they haven't really played anyone. They played some of the teams that aren't expected to be playoff caliber teams, but their offense has been outstanding. They still have personnel that can put the ball in the basket. And Donovan Mitchell, being the second guy, still shot a high percentage. He still scored. But I think the Knicks also tonight, Monica, missed a guy like Mitchell Robinson. Remember how he's dominated the paint in the previous couple games and years against this Cavalier team, because they have a lot of size down low. And Karl-Anthony Towns, Towns. He can handle one of those guys. But when you have two of those 7-footers, I think that made a big difference, Monica,
I
for
think
the
you're
Cavs.
absolutely right, Wally. Like, I think you're absolutely, and I will say that I think down the stretch, hopefully the Josh Hart shin thing is not a big deal, but I do think that sort of mattered down the stretch. There were some baskets that the Knicks had that they were right there, right? Like, there's a floater, there's the Anunoby layup, there's some plays that are right there for the taking, but they're unable to capitalize. And I just think the size overall, and when you think about it, two 7-footers who arguable, one has been an all-star multiple times, the other has all-star caliber talent. Then you've got two all-star guards. Like, that's going to be a formidable team. But I think this was an early season game still for a new team. It was an opportunity to sort of make some deposits because it obviously was the most tightly contested fourth quarter we've seen so far in this season. Good things to take away from it, but I do think that pick and roll ultimately gave Jalen Brunson some fits in terms of being guarded by bigs.
Worth pointing out, Josh Hart more specifically here, was questionable coming into the game, Monica, with the bad ankle. Goes for 16 and 13. We're going to show everyone how he injured his leg. Hopefully it's not serious, but he missed the final 3 minutes of the game, and at that point the game was totally up for grabs when he went to the locker room.
Yeah, Pidto, there's a couple of plays, right? This one.
His neck there.
Yeah, the neck is one, and then the contusion. That when you get hit in your shin like that, when you walk, you feel it. So let alone running and jumping, it's just kind of this pulsing sensation. So hopefully that's not anything long term. I'm optimistic that it won't be. I'm not a doctor, just trying to be optimistic and positive. But he's a presence that was important in the course of this game. He was playing great. He was active. He practically had a double-double at halftime. And so, yeah, you need a physical presence like that when you have those two 7-footers who are a little bit more lean.
Yeah, and he'll also help out Karl Anthony Towns on the boards. You know, he was relentless on the glass, had a double-double pretty much at halftime, and Karl Anthony Towns is doing a really good job manning the center position, but he needs other guys to gang rebound, help him out on the boards. They were dominating the boards for the most part for the most of the game. The Knicks were. They ended up only +2 on the board, so that was a big difference, not having Josh Hart down the stretch, no question.
All right, Monica, thank you. We'll talk to you Wednesday night from Miami. Enjoy the trip.
Sounds good.
Behave yourself.
Of course.
Josh Hart, we touched on his injury, talked a little bit about his game, but overall, he's just amazing.
Oh.
He almost, as Monica pointed, almost had a double-double at the half, finished with 16 and 13, so that's back-to-back double-doubles for him, for a guy that was questioning his role, in quotation marks, coming out of training camp. He's been fantastic.
And again, he has the continuity with this coaching staff, with this team, with Tom Thibodeau. So he's continuing to do what he did last year, just heroic-type efforts on both ends of the floor, a lot of the hustle plays that you need on your home court. I just think Monica really hit the nail on the head with this game. This was one of these games where it's an early season with a couple new parts. The Knicks looked a little just uncertain of themselves at certain key moments, whereas the Cavs, they saw that, they smelled that, and they said, wait a second, we can steal this game. Knicks are a little confused with what to do on how to close this one out, despite having a 7 to 8 point lead. And as a result, when the Knicks kind of just got a little hesitant, they didn't know where to go, they missed some shots, they turned the ball over a few times, the Cavs just, Garland went, I'm taking this game over. I'm winning this game on the road at MSG, and that's how they stole this one from the Knicks.
Mike Breen made the point throughout the broadcast. Cleveland coming into this season a little bit under the radar, but they returned just about the entire roster from last year. Max Strus is hurt. They have a new coach in Kenny Atkinson. So far, so good. They're perfect 4-0. Welcome back, everyone. As the Cavs outscore the Knicks 36-26 in the fourth quarter and win it 110-104. Back now from the Corner 3, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. Next up for the Knicks, they're at Miami on Wednesday. Pre-game at 7, game at 7:30. As the Knicks begin a stretch of 4 straight on the road and a stretch of 6 of their next 7 away from home. Time now to listen into the post-game comments from Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau, presented by Chase.
Questions? Yeah, just, missed some shots. Gave him some easy ones in transition. So, that hurt us. Yeah, he got going on us, so the guys like that, I felt like he got too much airspace. I want to take a look at the film to see what we could do better.
You mentioned your team wanted to be
Yeah.
Another game under 30. Is it how teams are guarding you guys and just spacing that? Like, what is you seeing from your eyes there?
Yeah, probably a combination of everything. It's we have to generate more, and sometimes that's a byproduct of deep paint decisions. Like what's the read? Obviously you want as many layups as you can get, and then if there's two on, you spray it out, and then everyone has to you can't just stare at the ball. You have to stare at the whole court, so you got to read the man in front of you. What's he doing, so we don't get guys drifting up on each other.
So a lot of aerial today. Everything okay with Jericho?
Yeah, just getting a look at someone different to try to change it up. They're big, so pretty dynamic. So, we wanted to see what it looked like.
What did you make of how he played?
Good. I thought his minutes were solid. Yep.
So, Josh, the locker room, you guys moved up since that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to medical. They said it was a bruise, but I haven't. I haven't gotten anything further.
Thank you. Carl, I think he shot it.
Yeah.
Just like the way the offense.
Yeah, and some of it, I want the game to tell him, what to do. So some of it is he's getting double teamed in the post, and then there's different ways he's got to get in there as well. And we got to search that out, and whether it's transition post ups or off of what's going on in the game with cutting and movement, and so I think we got to find a good rhythm.
Were there differences you saw in the first half to the second half? I think you guys had 11 offensive boards in the first half and 2 in the second. Was there any difference in approach that you saw as far as how?
Yeah, no, I think it's just consistent effort. You got to keep going, and I think when you force a defense to collapse and you put them in rotation and you get the movement, drive, pass, there's going to be opportunities on shots that are missed to go get it. And, I thought the first half, the rebounding was good. I thought the defense was good. But the thing, you got to strive to be a 48-minute team, and we're nowhere near that yet. But we got to keep working at it and keep our focus on improvement, get better each day.
What did they do to get Jalen out of the field?
And again, they got the size at the rim. And I want to take a look at the film, but I thought they're pretty physical, but I think that's going to be the way it's going to be this year. So we just got to focus on making the shot or making the play. Yep.
So clearly, still a work in progress. Of note here, and we were just talking while Tibbs was talking. Karl-Anthony Towns, known for his three-ball shooting, only got 2 3-ball attempts tonight. Only 2.
He's not going to force. I give him a lot of credit. He rebounded the ball very well, tried to defend the rim and did a pretty good job of that, used all his fouls. He fouled out. But at the same time, he's the new guy here. Like, the Knicks have to kind of figure out how to use him in the correct manner.
That's what Tibbs was saying. It's still a work in progress.
Yes, it's still a work in progress. You need to, get on the same page with that pick and roll with Jalen Brunson, and they'll watch the film and they'll learn from it. If they do start switching that thing, maybe Towns has to run his guy down into the paint and post up. If Jalen Brunson doesn't like his matchup against Mobley or in certain situations like that. So it's a work in progress. Karl-Anthony Towns is an outstanding player, and he needs to get more involved in this offense because he can really help the Knicks. And once the Knicks figure things out, I think they're going to be fine. But it's not easy with all these new parts when you make trades. You got to get some. You got to go through some losses like this against some good teams and kind of learn from them and get back to the drawing board and figure out a strategy, when the game gets tight.
Another new player was impressive. Mikal Bridges,
Yes.
9 of 15 from the floor, finished with 19 points.
He's been outstanding. I've been so impressed with his mid-range game, his post-up ability, not just settling for threes, the way he can put the ball on the floor, run pick and roll, create offense for himself. Obviously, his defense is dynamic, the way he plays the passing lanes. I thought he played a perfect game for 3 quarters, and it wasn't really his fault in the fourth quarter. The ball just didn't really come his way. That's Jalen Brunson's time, and the Knicks are going to live and die by Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter. Jalen was good in the fourth quarter, but they dug themselves too big of a hole. The fact that they gave up as many points as they gave up in the second half, the Knicks held the Cavs to 45 points in the first half. They gave up 36 points in the fourth quarter. That's very un-Knick-like. They got to get back to their defense, locking down teams and closing out games. They gave up 65 points in the second half because, the Cavaliers really got rolling, and they allowed their guards to shoot 12 for 19, Garland, and 9 for 17, Donovan Mitchell. That's high percentage shooting against good defenders in OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges that the Knicks are normally not going to give up those type of numbers to guards out on those wings.
Cavs only had 74 points through three quarters. It
Right.
shows you to get to 110, big fourth quarter with the 36. Yep. When we come back, we're going to go into the Knicks locker room, get some more post-game reaction for you tonight as the Cavs beat the Knicks final count 110 to 104. 6 of the next 7 Knicks games are on the road, beginning with Wednesday's game at Miami. Pre-game here at 7, game at 7:30. You can also stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app. For the second straight game, every single Knicks starter was in double figures. We've talked about just about everybody except OG Anunoby. Another solid game from him. He had 15 points.
Yeah, shot a high percentage at 7 for 13. OG was great playing the passing lanes, creating a couple turnovers and easy opportunities. He's always going to play his role and play it perfectly. And, the Knicks are going to go as far as Jalen Brunson's going to take them. And Jalen had a little bit of an off shooting night at 8 for 24. I thought the effort and the energy was outstanding by OG Anunoby, flying all over the place. There's the big block with the long arms. This is why the Knicks covet what he brings to the table. He just does all those little things, all the intangibles. He's outstanding at those. I love those plays. I think Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby playing buddy ball together and getting on the same page, that's going to be really important for this Knicks team. I thought there was a lot of positives you can take out of this game. The fact that Brunson was struggling. Other guys were picking him up. Josh Hart had a good game offensively. Mikal Bridges had a good game offensively. And OG Anunoby had a good game offensively. And the Knicks had a 7-point lead down the stretch in the third quarter. They just couldn't hold on to that lead. So there were a lot of positives that you can take out of this one. But at the same time, the fourth quarter, the Knicks have to start figuring out when the defense is ratcheted up against a good team, what's going to be the game plan, who's going to be where, and how are they going to get the stops, first and foremost, to close out victories, especially at home.
Worth mentioning, Deuce McBride, another solid game, 14 points off the bench. Knicks up 13. Jalen Brunson came out for a couple of minutes after banging his leg, his knee, whatever it was. He did come back in, but when he went out, it seemed like the Knicks lost a lot of crucial momentum with that lead in the third quarter.
Yeah, and Bridges was out there on the floor. So was Josh Hart with Cameron Payne and Deuce McBride. So that's the minutes that you're going to have to figure things out. You're probably not going to be extending the lead, but you don't want to let the other team eat into your lead. That's going to be the key with that bench unit when they're out there on the floor together. Listen, the Knicks are thin. They're dealing with some injuries on that bench. They're going to have to play heavy minutes with their starting five. Their starting five is as good as any starting five in the NBA. Put it right up there with the Boston Celtics. I mean, the Knicks starting five is very formidable, but at the same time, the bench is something that, guys are stepping up when they get their opportunities, but those are minutes that the Knicks are going to have to figure out a way to weather the storm against other teams.
Campaign only played 10 minutes tonight. Interesting that R.L. Huckborty off the bench played 11 minutes, while Jericho Sims played only 3 minutes.
Yeah, and
Huckborty looks pretty good, doesn't he?
Tom Thibodeau's trying to see what he has. These are a lot of new faces. Huckborty has never played in the NBA. I mean, these are his first NBA minutes. So, the Knicks are trying to figure out when they can trust him, when they need him. This was a good matchup for him because they had two bigs in Mobley and Jarrett Allen that Huckborty can guard and go against. So this was interesting to see how he played, and I thought he played 11 pretty solid minutes.
Huckborty had an amazing dunk that was called off because of an offensive foul. The Garden was rocking, but the play was negated because of the offensive foul. Jalen Brunson saying hello to Donovan Mitchell after the game. Cavs win it tonight by 6. Wednesday, the Knicks are at Miami. Pre-game at 7, game at 7:30. You can also stream our coverage on the Gotham Sports app. Here now is Allen with Jalen Brunson.
Jalen, it felt like the offense was really humming in the third quarter. Then you get kicked, you go out, kind of lost momentum. Did you get that sense it was harder to get that rhythm back?
I thought it was honestly just a weird game from start to finish. It was kind of a grinded out game. Had a 30-point lead and then let it slip away. But It's no excuse. I mean, we got to play our best basketball in the fourth quarter, and we didn't tonight.
Was it a kick? From your vantage point, how did that
Hit in the knee, that's all. I'm all good.
What were they doing defensively against you that was giving you trouble in the paint?
Obviously, they got the two big guys down low, but I feel like I miss a lot of shots I normally make. And, it's a part of the game, but I mean, sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. I just next time it'll go in for me.
Carl, I think he had 8 shots. Is that something where they were taking him away, or?
I would say, I mean, as good as Carl is, no one can really take him out of a game. It's just on us. It's on me as a teammate to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all making sure that everyone's eating. And so, I mean, I got to be better when it comes to that. I got to adjust and I got to see.
So, again, the question about Towns and his shot attempts. Only took 8 shots.
Yeah.
And Brunson talking about what happened close to the rim. He only went 8 of 18 tonight in the paint.
They were very makeable. I was surprised when he missed them. I mean, Jalen's getting to his spots. He's darting around his defender, getting to the front of the rim, and there were shots that he kind of like makes in his sleep. And that happens, you know. He's a human being. He's not a machine. So he'll bounce back. He'll make those next game. And as far as Karl Anthony Towns goes, it's the rest of the team and also Jalen's responsibility as the point guard to figure out how to get him more involved in the offense, because he's an unbelievable weapon that the Knicks have. He can really shoot the three, he can put the ball on the floor, and he poses a lot of matchup problems for the other team. And it goes both ways. Karl has to be more aggressive, demand the ball, and other guys got to get him the rock so he can be more aggressive.
All right, so the Knicks begin a 4-game road trip on Wednesday night, and they will be at Miami. We'll see on the pregame show at 7, game at 7:30. You can also stream on MSG Plus, now on the Gotham Sports app. Coming up next, right here on MSG, it's MSG Shorts. Cavs tonight scored 36 points in the fourth quarter, outscoring the Knicks 36-26 in the decisive final 12 minutes. Cleveland wins it 110-104. Donovan Mitchell had 25, and Darius Garland had a huge fourth quarter with 15 of his 34. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you on Wednesday night.